Okay. What time do we have?
You still have.
It's
Well,
1:44.
We won't count my talking.
Okay.
We'll have an hour.
Okay. All right,
So I will start if anybody has some questions about what the bill is right now and any of the statutes. I tried to follow up with all the statutes, all the sections of the bill. But do we have a clear understanding where is the real ID coming from and what is it designed to do? Maybe by a show of hands, are we clear so far with the bill? So?
Oh, that's not a lot of hands.
Yeah. Very
Okay,
clear.
and then maybe we can start by asking the questions to clarify what's in the bill, and then we can, move naturally forward.
okay, what I wanted, we don't need a comment, so we want a question,
Yeah.
okay? So you can ask a question. It will go by line, I will remember, who's gonna ask first question.
And I think we're gonna ask you to stand up so everyone can hear, unless you're
Yep.
loud enough.
Thank you.
¿En español no lo pueden decir?
Sí, so queremos asegurarnos que hayan entendido lo que es el bill, ¿ok? Hay una versión corta de lo que él acaba de explicar aquí, es que su bill, su propuesta de él, no toca la licencia actual de lo que está, o sea, no te dice que te la pueden dar, pero tampoco dice que te la den, ¿ok? O sea, como hasta ahorita tienes que probar ciudadanía para que te den una licencia. Él cree que el Real ID y la licencia son dos cosas separadas.
Entonces, la controversia viene, I'm trying to explain the difference between the House and the Senate bill. La diferencia viene porque en la Casa de Representantes del Estado de Minnesota se está moviendo un bill bajo el mismo tema del Real ID, pero que tiene una provisión que dice que prohíbe que cualquier persona que no tenga un estatus migratorio pueda tener acceso a cualquier identificación estatal. Esto incluye la licencia de conducir. Entonces, si este bill pasa, automáticamente todas nuestras peticiones o nuestro movimiento para pedir una licencia de conducir va a estar, nos van a aventar otra vez para atrás, ¿verdad? Eso es una cosa. Entonces, el senador Pratt hoy viene a explicar que su versión del Senado, que es la versión 166, de Real ID, no tiene un mensaje antimigrante, no tiene un mensaje que prohíbe acceso al ID, solamente está diciendo que son dos cosas separadas y que el Estado todavía tiene la autoridad para decidir este tipo de medidas, depende de su capacidad legal. Entonces estamos claros que hay dos versiones, ¿verdad? La de la casa. Who's the author of the House bill?
Representative Smith.
Representative Smith tiene la de la casa y esa es la gacha, pues, para nosotros. El senador Pratt tiene el del Senado y esa no mueve, a nosotros no nos toca básicamente, ni para bien ni para mal, nomás hace lo del Real ID y a nosotros nos deja así. ¿Ok? ¿Estamos claros entonces hasta ahí las personas en español? Okay, for the guys, for people that only speak English, I was just explaining the difference between the House bill and the Senate bill for folks who speak Spanish only, okay?
What's the difference? Say it in English.
Who can say that? That's what Senator Pratt explained. Okay, so the House bill has some language that community members have classified as anti-immigrant, that will ban access for undocumented people to seek or organize and use our democratic system to request driver's licenses for undocumented people. And Senator Pratt on his bill, the Senate Bill 165, he doesn't touch, he doesn't move any anti-immigrant bill. He leaves that to the constituency, not to the constituency, but to the authority of the states. And just leave the rules exactly as they were.
Let me make a brief clarification.
Va
Right?
a ser una clarificación.
So the language that you talked about is already in rule.
El lenguaje que yo dije ya está en la regla.
Okay. All the House bill does is it puts the rule into statute. They're not adding, they're not changing anything that would, in theory, make it any harder. They're putting it in statute. but there's a belief it would be harder later on to make that change.
Right.
But anytime we want to give, if we decide that undocumented immigrants should have driving privileges, it's going to have to go through the legislature anyway.
So lo que está haciendo es que la regla es una regla que está en el Departamento de Transporte y Servicios. Y lo que están haciendo es meterla a los estatutos. Entonces la regla la están haciendo ley. Y dice que también se puede remover organizando, pero todos estamos claros que es un poco más difícil cambiar una regla que cambiar la ley, ¿verdad?
So, can I talk?
Yes.
I'm Kim Churchill. I'm from Prior Lake, and so my question is, why can't we, since we've got you here and you're the author of the bill, can we do something to make it a little bit more, what's the word, accessible for undocumented immigrants? My concern is that people that don't have driver's license don't get tested or don't have a road test, and they don't get insurance. And if I hit somebody or somebody hits me, then I pretty much have to pay for it. But if people that are people that are undocumented are going to drive because they have to go to work, so why not make it more economically feasible for all of us to give people an opportunity to be on the grid for driving so that we don't have to pay for it through our insurance premiums?
I'm not taking a position one way or the other. There was a bill that passed the Senate in 2013 that, in all honesty, the DFL Senate passed a bill in 2013 that the DFL House left on the table and it never went anywhere, never got to the governor, okay? That would have done exactly what you said. The DFL Senate put it in the transportation bill last year that never went anywhere, okay? My point is that this should not be the vehicle for expanding access. This is a vehicle only to implement a real ID so that the licenses that we have can be used to board an aircraft or enter military bases or federal facilities. The two issues are completely separate in my bill, and that's the way I want to keep them. Because otherwise, we're going to hit the same problem we did last year. And it was this immigration issue that caused the bill not to pass in 2016. And so if I go in with just a clean bill, a clean real ID bill, my hope is I can at least move this part forward. Yes, sir.
Last question for all Minnesotans, regardless of status, who have a Minnesota license now.
Yeah.
Will there be a requirement when you naturally get your new license to provide another ID? I mean, is there a way of how will the state backtrack and make sure that everybody's compliant with the identification and citizenship requirements? What's that process look like?
That's part of the rules that have to be implemented in implementing the real ID. But you will probably have to go in with, at least your first time, you'll have to go in with your minimum requirements. So a birth certificate or a passport, a green card, because immigrants in legal status can get a real ID. So it's those.
Is that different in the House bill? Is that
No, that's federal.
federal? Okay.
So all the requirements for the real ID compliant license are laid out in federal statute. Yes, sir.
This is to renew your license, you're gonna have to have a birth certificate? When I've had a license for 50 years, now I'm gonna bring a birth certificate to renew, not get a new one, to renew it. Is that what you just said?
That's federal.
If you want to upgrade your license to be real ID compliant, the federal government is making us raise that standard. Now, if you have a real ID already, then let's say you come from Ohio, where they have a real ID. You can turn it in and you don't have to do that. But if you're getting a real ID for the first time, you have to be able to present that documentation. That's by federal law.
How does this affect people with disabilities that maybe don't have a driver's license but have like just an identification card?
The same rules apply. I use driver's license and ID kind of interchangeably,
Okay.
but it's really for both. So we'll have a compliant ID card and driver's license, and we'll have a non-compliant ID and driver's license.
Can I have one quick follow-up?
Sure.
What type of information are people hesitant about sharing with the federal government?
So, I've been battling this issue all week. There is a requirement that the state go out and send some information to all the other states, seeing if you have another real ID in another state. Because by federal law, you can only be issued and hold one real ID. So they don't want you to have a real ID in Ohio and a real ID in Minnesota. They're gonna check to make sure that no other real IDs exist. If they find out that you came to Minnesota and didn't give them your real ID when you moved to Minnesota, and they find the one in Ohio, they're gonna make you close the one in Ohio before they issue a Minnesota one. For immigrants that come in with the green card, they're going to go to the federal government and verify legal status. That's part of the federal legislation as well.
So what about asylees and refugees? Would they
Let me
have?
finish up with
Oh,
her
I'm
first,
sorry.
thank you. And so, the issue is there's confusion about whether or not we're gonna be creating a federal database. I've had questions. Will they share my driving history with the federal government? No. There's no central federal database. It's just a ping out to see if you have another ID, and then if you're not a citizen, a ping just to verify legal status, and all to comply with federal law. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just gonna ask about asylees and refugees that don't have green cards.
I don't know,
Okay.
but I presume that they're able to verify their legal status in some way. And that's what and it's all laid out in the federal statute, here.
So it is my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, okay?
Yep.
Which I know you will. It's, if you add to your bill the language that everybody should be able to get a driver's license, because I agree with you, you know, it's for safety. We know that our families are driving either way. And I currently just had an accident with somebody that had 7 identities. So we know that it would bring people out of the shadows. I understand that if you add this language to your bill, you would be a hero in our community. And you would get the bipartisan vote on behalf of the DFL, our fellow Democrats, for your bill to pass. We want you to be successful, but I think this is the one chance where we could kill 2 birds with 1 stone, adding the simple line that says everyone should be able to have a driver's license. Insurance, it would help our economy, and I know you know this already.
Yep. Again, I'll say that this was the issue that killed the bill last year. When the advocates came to me, Isaiah, Immigrant Law Center, those folks, they asked that I just keep the status quo in place. Now that I'm keeping status quo in place, there seems to be this move to get me to move off it. And I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep this a clean bill, because that's the only way I believe I can get it passed and implemented. And I've talked to other representatives and senators who may be bringing bills to do exactly what you said, but they need to travel separate paths.
What's your feeling about when if this were to go to conference with the House, given the language that they have, that it remain a clean bill and not get larded with the House language? Get changed both philosophically and actually from what you're talking about. What's your feeling about that? You're the handicap.
I like my chances. In all honesty, I like my chances. And I've been talking to the Speaker, and I've been talking to the House author. And we've been talking about some of the concerns that they have. You know, they feel like this keeps the status quo in place and doesn't allow for a runaround against the legislature. I believe this keeps the status quo in place, doesn't allow an end around the legislature. I feel good about my chances, but you know, if that becomes the